5 p.m. So we are 3 minutes late, but I think we can manage this. So okay. First of all, of course, good afternoon to everyone. And I'm really happy to host this seminar today, which is going to discuss, let's say, the future of theaters, let's say what we have called as theaters in the new normal. And I'm really glad that the guest speakers that we have with us today are, let's say, key representatives of the most well-known opera houses worldwide. For these reasons, I'm introducing Lanfranco di Cauli, who is the head of marketing and fundraising at the Teatro alla Scala. I'm also introducing Myriam Coplo, who is the head of audience experience and marketing at Opéra de Paris. Clemence, who is marketing and communication manager at Opéra de Paris. Stefan Wollmann, who is head of marketing at Wiener Staatsoper. And finally, Silvia Zacchia, who is a digital marketing manager at Royal Opera House in London. So welcome to all of you, and I'm really glad that you accepted the invitation for today. Of course, as Monica already said, I'm also welcoming our, let's say, students of the Master in Performing Arts Management, as well as the alumni, because I've seen several people from the previous editions of the Master joining the webinar, but also all of the others that register for today's event. And of course, I have to introduce and welcome also Monica Errico, who is the director of the Master in Performing Arts Management, and Monica is going to moderate and then to lead the discussion with you today. Before leaving the word to Monica, just a technical issue. I'm kindly ask you to all of you to all of the audience to switch off the microphone and the camera so that we don't have noises, and then I think I can leave the word to Monica, that I also thank for the presence. The word and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah, and thank you so much to you and to the MIP for this great occasion. It's a great opportunity, first of all, for our students, our alumni, and all our guests, and we really welcome questions after our discussion. So we are nowadays, as we all know, the world of classical music and grand opera is facing its biggest challenge in living memories. So we have this fantastic opportunity to talk about the marketing team of the most important theater in Europe and also in the world, about how are they reimagining, let's say not rebuilding, but reimagining their community and their audience after the emergency. Yes, because as we all know, and as I also discussed in the past weeks with Lanfranco di Cauli, there are several goals to meet and several challenges in the next months. So first of all, of course, there is the financial challenges and the financial goals to meet. But theaters as La Scala, as Opéra Paris, as Vienna, or as Royal Opera House, they need to balance this goal with several others. Yes, because these theaters, they all have a great artistic identity. And they want to be faithful to this identity. They also manage very important brand, and they don't want to sell out this brand in different terms. Why these brands are so important? Because they offer unique experience both to the audience and unique opportunity to the sponsor, in terms of quality, in terms of strength to symbolic tradition, in terms of uniqueness, and in terms of feeling of taking part to something really big for the audience. So exclusivity is the other goal to balance with the need of financial sources. Plus, there's also another aspect. We really want to stay inclusive for several reasons. So grassroots and community, which are already very important for this theater, will probably become even more important, because maybe the kind of audience will change a little bit next year, especially for theaters like yours, that are in big cities. So I would like to ask to Lanfranco to go first with this discussion. Thank you.
So thank you to Deborah for introduction and Monica to moderate this talk. First of all, I would like to also to thank all the colleagues from the other theaters that I really feel near to La Scala, because we are all facing to these complex moment for different markets, but in particular for the arts. In fact, we can say that theater in general, but we can say more in general, the performing arts is something that can be alive only with the presence of our audiences. And these 4 months lockdown, it has been for us a really complicated moment, not only for, obviously, as you have correctly said, Monica, for the economics and financial problem, but also for this gap, this absence of contact with our audiences. At this moment, we can say that anyway, we have to be optimistic, in particular in the very last days. We have reopened the doors of Teatro alla Scala with 2 concerts, and we will have the other 2 in the next weeks. We have arranged quite simple concerts, a mixture of camera and singing recitals concerts. And this new version of concert is gaining a very good result from our audiences. In fact, we are having sold out every night in the hall. Obviously, when we say sold out anyway, we are speaking about a very smaller number of seats. Generally, Teatro alla Scala has the capacity of 2,000 people every night, and now maximum we can sell 603 seats. Anyway, we are happy that we can open the theater, and this enthusiastic the reaction of our audiences. We have decided to give to our subscriber the opportunity to book before the other general audience their seats, and they very welcome this opportunity. And also, speaking about the sponsorship, these 3 concerts are an extraordinary opportunity to invite our founders, our sponsor, and to meet them and to give them the opportunity to invite also their stakeholders. And also, in these 4 concerts are parallel with these 4 concerts. We have decided to start a communication campaign to thank all our partners. In fact, on our website, as well as on also traditional posters, as well as advertising into newspapers, we have published a special page to thank all the names of our founders, sponsors, and our subscribers that in this complicated period has decided to support La Scala and to not ask for the refund of the tickets, and to maintain their partnership agreement alive, even if we have not been able to maintain all our benefits that we have forecast in their contracts. But we have to also understand what's going on and to understand how to go on. And so this is the reason why we have decided to ask also the support to our subscribers and members of the audience, asking them which are their expectations, speaking about the next season, speaking about the refund, the voucher. And so this is the reason why we have also we made a survey with our member of audiences, and the very first results that we had is that the member of audiences of La Scala, more than the 85%, they want to come back as soon as they can, so in September, and more than the 90% of them told us that they want to renovate their subscription. So this is also for us a good tool. I see that my 4 minutes are ended, so I want to respect the time and to leave the word to the next speaker. but
thank you,
we have
yes, it's
more opportunity. Here we are. Grazie.
Thank you so much, Lanfranco, and I give the word to Myriam and then Clemence for the opera.
Thank you. We are very proud and happy to be with you today. So it's a hard time, as Lanfranco said, and just to give you some ideas of the figures it represents for the Paris Opera. We had to cancel over 160 performances this year, which means a loss of 40 million euros, and our budget was our estimated sales for the year were about 75 million euros. So we lost already a lot, and maybe it's not over, because I think the crisis is not completely over. That means also 40,000 seats. So and as we normally sell over 800,000 per year. And we had what was not the case in La Scala. We had also before 2 months strikes, because there is a new law process in France about reforming the pensioning. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So we have lots of artists and technicians of the opera were against this law until they struck just before the COVID crisis. So we had a very bad year. And so we work, especially with Clemence, to also find again, to rebuild our audience, also to find a new way to attract them. But we could also find that, in fact, as Lanfranco said, that people want to come back. And we also decided to have our 2 first concerts next week. The 14th of July is the National Day of France, so it's important for us to be there on this day. So we will welcome, we have two free evenings. On the 14th of July, we will welcome all people, about 1,000 people involved in hospitals, you know, all these people who worked a lot and were really in front of the illness and the crisis, the sanitary crisis. And this concert is possible because we have the support of donors and companies. And on Monday, on the 13th, we invited some subscribers and also sponsors. And we chose with Clemence, we chose the subscribers who still have bought again, resubscribed for next season, and also who had been already subscribers last year and who had more than 4 performances cancelled. Yeah. So we could offer only 400 seats to that concert, but everybody wanted to come. So it's not a real, well, it's not an inquiry, but we could find out that they want to come back and they're very happy to be the first to come back again.
Maybe say that it's a free concert because normally we always do a representation on the 14th of July, but free. So this year we reopen with a free concert for 2 days.
And we have also to respect the sanitary conditions. So we can only welcome, I would say, between 900 people not really in our auditorium, which is half of what we have normally. But I think you all know that in all theaters. For coming season, we still have some fears about what will happen, if we can reopen our doors with a full auditorium or not. And that's also why we decided to do some works, some refurbishing works on our stages. We have 2 theaters in Paris, two opera houses. And so as we decided to have these works this year instead of next year, it was because we were not sure about what will happen in the autumn. So we will reopen our normal program only end of November, at Bastille Opera, which is a modern house. At Garnier, we will propose a new programming adapted to the situation, so with with no setup, so no opera, but only concerts and ballet evenings with 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 dancers, but not more, because we still don't know how our artists are being able to be on stage next year. Because this is not completely clear also about what they can do, how they can be protected, what it will happen. And so we will mini program to welcome people from September. And maybe Clemence, you can explain what kind of strategy also we are thinking of for the next coming weeks.
Yes. Sorry, Clemence, before she just anticipated my question to you. So I've always been fascinated by your communication style of the opera, and in which way? So the question is, this communication strategy will change after the emergency, and also if this will affect the relationship with the sponsor in your view in some ways. Thank you so much.
First of all, maybe I will explain what we did just before, during the crisis, and what we're planning to do for our audience and in terms of communication. And maybe say it's important to say that the launch of our next season took place in March, so just at the beginning of the crisis. So we already sell at 50% of the habitual subscribers. So it's for us, it's a kind of investment from them, but we still have work to get the 50% that for the moment are waiting to be sure on when are we going to reopen really. But during the crisis, we try to keep the contact with them, sending them emailing every week about the broadcast we had every week, showing performances we already show, and now we are working on how are we going to communicate again. So it's not communicate again because we communicate with them all along the crisis, but it's to reseduce is the term we found with Myriam, is to seduce them again, because they are here. We know that they're gonna come again, but we have to reseduce them. Also because of the strike, because the strike was not the sanitary crisis, it's something else. And we are planning to do a big communication campaign in September to communicate about the show we're going to give on at the end of the year, and we give information. For example, tomorrow we are going to send information we have at the moment, because we still a lot of planification to adjustment of the planification, but we say, okay, for the moment we know that, so you have to know that, and we will keep informed. So that's, for me, that's the thing important we've done and we still have to do. And about the communication, we are not planning to change all the communication. I think the position of the Paris Opera is to be there, but to not to be I don't know how to explain that, not to be low profile at the same time. I don't know if it's clear like that. Is we are not going to save the world, and so we're going to show that the shows are going to come again, but I don't know, Myriam, if you...
It's not really, we will not modify completely our style because we are still the Paris Opera where everything has changed. But there is something special that in 1 year we will have a new managing director, so a new artistic program. So this will be the place, in fact, in March next year, where we will have a new way maybe to communicate, because we are just choosing with him the new agency and the new philosophy. And we have in fact 2 steps after the crisis. The first one is the next autumn, where it's still going on what we did, but with another program. And after 21, with a new director, new managing director. So this will be another way to communicate, another way to deal with the audience.
Of course.
And maybe I forgot just 1 minute, and then after I stop, to say that we also reopened the visits of the theaters, because it's a good main activity in summer. And so we reopened our doors on the 32nd of June, like other museums in France, and with very low frequentation for the moment. So, but it's developing slowly. So we welcome between 200 and 700 visitors a day, instead of sometimes 3,000 normally at the same period. But it's also a way to discover the Palais Garnier, and we have more local audience, so Parisian audience, and not foreigners, and also a new way to let them know again the Palais Garnier with less people, so it's much comfortable. It's very quiet and intimate. And that's also a good point for us to see. We are here. You are welcome. Please come in and rediscover your theater, your opera house.
Thank you so much. It's a great sign, I think, to the community. And now there is Silvia from Royal Opera House Covent Garden. Eccola.
Yes, hi everybody.
Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you, and sorry about this or on top of me. Right, so for those of you that don't know, we are a national portfolio organization, also known as NPO. We're supported by the British public via the Arts Council England. And we're also a registered charity, which means we receive donations from those that share our ambitions. So I think this sets us a bit differently from other European opera houses. Now, we heavily rely on our audiences. So we receive less than £1 for every £5 from the Arts Council. So as pretty much everybody, it is through our box office income that we are able to put on our performances. And most importantly, pay our amazing community of staff, artists, musicians, dancers, performers, etc. Now, differently from other European theatres, when we had to close our doors, we gave our ticket holders the option to either donate the price of the tickets, use them as a voucher for future performances, or having the tickets fully refunded. Now, as a consequence, we have lost a very important percentage of our income. Like everybody, we had to find ways to receive public donations to remain financially viable. So for us, it is not just important to rebuild the community after the emergency, but how to keep the community engaged while the emergency is going on. Because, admittedly, we don't know for how long this emergency will go on. We don't know from the UK government yet if and when we're going to reopen. Now, the government just announced. Okay, the government just announced a rescue package for the arts sector, but we still don't know how much we'll get and when we'll be able to reopen in a safe and a cost-effective way. Most theatres in the UK need to operate at 80% of capacity to be able to survive. Like the majority of theatres, we've been offering weekly ballet and opera streams on our YouTube and Facebook channels that have yielded many donations, because you can donate directly from those 2 platforms as well as from the website. We have also already done 3 live shows in June behind closed doors, 2 of which were only accessible previous and online ticket payment. That was effectively for us an exercise in understanding how the pay-per-view model would work for us in the future. As we already have a very strong brand presence and identity offline and online to our social channels, we've actually been attracting more and more international audiences than before, as well as international donations. And we've been creating original content or sharing the UCG content created from our artists. So, for example, we had some original dance pieces, We had chorus performances, the In Conversation with Antonio Papano from his own house. So all of this fell under our new slogan and hashtag as well, Our House to Your House. The benefit of this strong and continuous online presence for us is data, of course. We can understand who our audience was before and if and how it has changed post-closure. We can see how they interact with us. We can tailor our content to meet the needs of all our types of audiences, and that includes our patrons and friends, to our casual attendees, audiences that may be more into ballet, or audiences that may be more into opera, and what's the crossover between, you know, people that only visit our website and buy our tickets through that system, or people that come to us through our social channels primarily. Now, we cannot expect, understandably, that at reopening, our customers will behave in the same way pre-COVID-19. Certain analyses need to be started, have been started, and are fundamental for us to be able to market our offer to specific audiences, or to understand, for example, the pricing strategy we will need to undertake to continue being financially viable. And I think that's done for me.
Thank you so much, Silvia. I know it's very important for Covent Garden to keep engaging also the international and occasional audience, because I know from data that for the 49% of the audience come from beyond Greater London. So it would be really important for you to keep engaging also audience from outside London. This applies also for all the other theaters, but I think Covent Garden it's particularly keen to keep the audience from abroad and for, of course, from beyond London. So now I give the word to Stefan from Wiener Staatsoper. Thank you so much, Silvia.
No worries.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Stefan Wollmann. I'm from Vienna Staatsoper. Of course, we're facing more or less the same challenges than everybody else does. We lost about 1/3 of the capacity of tickets that could be sold last season, meaning also a loss of about 10 million in receipts. We are government financed, so we are compared to other smaller cultural institutions, in a fairly good position. But the outlook for the coming season is really not so well, because we will only be able, as in Paris, to sell roughly half of the seats that we have in our house. We also have to overcome the fear by certain patrons to sit in a hall together with a couple of hundred other people, strangers to them, and facing the possibility of a second wave of infections. So in order to overcome that first of 4 challenges that I want to point out, we decided to be very open, as I'm sure everybody else is as well, with information, tell people that they will be refunded in case that some performances cannot take place, and that we will observe all security measures, meaning there will be hygienic standards to be observed. We will make sure that there is no contact between artists and audiences, and we will have a meter distance between seats or groups of seats, which poses another set of challenges in the booking system, but I will leave that out for the moment. So these security issues, we counter them with information and openness. As far as the community is concerned, of course, people love to come to the opera again and be able to join, to share this common joy of visiting opera. We founded a new circle of friends which did not exist before, and so we hope that by doing this we will attract new patrons, new engagement, and also new financing. So far it worked out very well, so we'll see how this develops. It's a very fresh operation. The third challenge is how to stay in touch with people who were occasional visitors and who cannot come because they cannot travel. International guests, tourists. Vienna State Opera is about 1/3 of their audiences coming from international tourism, which doesn't look as if it would come back soon during this season in any way. So we decided to extend our digital offers. Vienna State Opera has operated a video on demand channel and has switched to a free of charge offer during the lockdown. We will continue to offer this for the domestic market, and we will work with distribution partners in a lot of other countries in order to make operas from the Vienna State Opera available for international audiences, so in order to stay in touch with them. So this is our response to the third challenge. And the fourth challenge is the financial challenge that we face, as everybody else does too. Of course, we said, yes, after the crisis, the Vienna State Opera will still remain to exist, but in order to justify heavy investments by the public institutions into culture institutions, we have to kind of create this awareness that the cultural sector is very important for Austria as a country in total. So this is more or less our strategy. We try to face the months to come with all the insecurity that is involved.
Thank you so much, Stefan. And I just want to remind, especially to the students, that Vienna is a very, very busy theater, and with a permanent ensemble, and there are lots of repertoires. So this is, in this respect, differs from the other theaters that we are, like of course La Scala and Covent Garden and Paris. So it's one of the busiest theaters in Europe, Stefan. Do you think there are going to be such a big number of performances next year? Also, no. So this business model will change a little bit in some
we
way.
planned the schedule will start as planned. We will open the season on September 7 with Madame Butterfly, and it will be a different performance every day from then on. The Vienna State Opera has something like 240 performances per year. The repertoire consists of some 40 to 45 productions every season. There is a new artistic director coming in, Bogdan Roscic, with this season. Dominique Meyer is going to be the new director of La Scala. So we are looking to the start of a new era, and it couldn't have been turned out to be more complicated than imagined for Bogdan Roscic for the beginning of his season. Yeah.
And in some ways, for La Scala, for Vienna, for Paris, this new year will also be the new year of the new director. So it will be interesting to see how it will develop. So let's go to our second questions, which will be about fundings. And I just want to remind to the students, of course, that this theater that are very similar in some ways, but they also have a different funding schemes. So they all rely to public bodies, to corporate bodies, to private philanthropists or foundation, but in a very different way. For example, as Stefan was mentioning, they have big support from the public. And if I think about Royal Opera House, who has the 75% of their income from box office fundraising and their commercial activities, so very different funding scheme. So, but if you would have, pretending that if you will have additional resources for the emergency, which will be your priority? Or your theater, of course, of your department?
Shall I answer first?
Yeah, okay. And then we will go to Lanfranco.
Well, our main priority is to have a real big push to open the theater for new audiences, for people who are interested in many different ways. That must not be always that the conversion, so to speak, will be that they will visit an opera. We will be opening the rehearsals, just like Paris does very successfully for many years for young people under 27. We have started new outreach programs to schools and to young adults so that they can engage with what happens at Wiener Staatsoper, which all will lead eventually to new audiences attending the performances. The surveys that we conducted show that we have very loyal and valuable audience with our subscribers, but they do not tend to renew on a certain rhythm, so that every season general audiences grows older by another year. And so if we don't do anything against this tendency, it would not be positive for the theater.
Thank you so much, Stefan. Lanfranco?
Here we are. Speaking about the priority, I would say that in order to maintain a strong relationship with our member of audiences on a side, and on the other one, a strong relationship with our partner and sponsor, I think that we have to work a lot into stress and to underline a sense of community with Teatro alla Scala. In fact, we have to say that the balance of Teatro alla Scala is composed more or less by a third from public subsidies, a third coming from private partner and sponsors, and another third coming from box office and subscribers. So for us, both of subscribers, member of audiences, and private founders and private sponsors in general are fundamental for us. And so we have to work with them. Anyway, as all our colleagues, they have already said, we are facing to a very uncertain period. We don't know if really we will be able to reopen the theater in September with how many seats, and then how we change the situation in the next autumn and then the next season. So what the way, the strategy we are acting at the moment, and we are very, very well working with our new superintendent, Myriam, we are working into a step-by-step strategy. So this is the way of working in the team of the theater in order to face to the different scenery that we can face to in the next months. And so depending on these different scenery, we have to adapt our artistic strategies. And so we will work in the next months, also speaking about the relation with the audiences and the sponsors, into announcing them first, similar to the strategy of Paris, first of all, the first part of the autumn, then the second part of the autumn, and then the winter. And so we have to work step by step with a very loyal sense of respect on one side of the artist part and marketing, and especially the loyal relation with our sponsor and subscribers. And so this is something new that we have to face. We were used to forecast our season with 3 years long view. Now we have to work with the 3 months long-term, maximum long-term point of view. But anyway, this is the only way we can work. And I think that, so to support this way of working step by step, we have to stay near, and we need to our partner sponsors to stay near to La Scala with, I was telling you before, with a sense of community. So this is our priority. This is the strategy we are actually working on.
Thank you so much, Lanfranco. We all know that La Scala scheme of funding is pretty unique in Italy. And I'm seeing on the video also Sebastian Schwarz, who is the Sovrintendente of Teatro Regio di Torino. I don't know if you want to add something too about which will be your priority if you had additional fundings. Good afternoon. No microphone. No. Okay. So let's go to Royal Opera House, Covent Garden.
Of course.
Silvia,
Hi.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. So, well, I think our position is pretty similar to all other opera houses in Europe at the moment. I think unless this package is big enough to let us go back to a life pre-COVID-19, there are way too many factors and priorities that need to be considered. And the Royal Opera House already started considering before the emergency actually started. Just want to point out that, you know, the following consideration is just my point of view at the moment. So first of all, financially, just like without knowing how big or small this imaginary package is, we need to consider and we need to look at what capacity we can reopen. What are the safety measures that are we need to keep in place, and especially important, how can we reopen, making sure that the tickets are sold at full price, because selling tickets at full price would mean being able to stay financially afloat. When would be the best time to reopen? And bear in mind, we still have no government guidelines on when that day is going to be. And we need to look at scheduling. So what is the value of the cost of putting up a production versus how much we would make in return if we were to sell all the tickets at full price, depending on the capacity. So we would need to look at the ticket prices themselves. Do we need to reduce? Do we need to raise the cost of our tickets? Do we need to reduce the amount of the ticket pricing tiers that we have here at the Royal Opera House? Do we need to have set ticket prices rather than ticket prices depending on productions, which is what we've been having so far? We really need to carefully understand our audiences, because, for example, as we were saying before, at the moment there is no tourism, so we're losing a part of our audiences. And when we understand who is it that we have, we need to market them. Who are they? Where are they? Where can we find them? What's the best way to reach them? What level of marketing budget do we need so that we can invest back into media? And for example, what medium is the best for what we're trying to achieve? Can we reach new audiences actually, and where? So if we are to lose tourists, or if we are to lose a percentage of regular audiences because they may, I don't know, fear going back into closed spaces, or they're in an age bracket which is so sensible because of health issues, how can we make up for that loss? So I think so far our approach has been that, and successfully so, of test and learn. So we not only look at our historical data and patterns to help us define audience behavior online and offline, but we keep surveying them as well, as La Scala Theatre, and I suppose the theatres are also doing. I suppose I can say also the website is a great example of this approach, because we continuously ask people to understand, like to help us define what we're trying to do, if they understand what we're trying to do, if our offer makes sense to them. So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Thank you so much, Silvia, and I give the word to Myriam for Paris.
Yes, thank you. So we have the same challenges. So the first we try to do is to reprogramming and taking care of the balance between costs and income possibilities. So that's why in autumn we have concert and little ballets, so it costs less, and so even if you have less income, we have kind of economical balance concentrated on this kind of programs. Concerning the donator, the friends, what we all are the kind of resources we could find out during the crisis that now main companies are interested in helping us, but if we have specific actions towards specific audience segments, especially the one who has no possibility to come to the opera normally, and also all the surgeries and hospitals staff. And especially there is also a new subject interesting our donators and sponsors. That's everything about environment. So if we construct something and do something also in a kind of new world, if we adapt also to this new world, we will have, I think, also sponsors helping us in that direction. So are the kind of actions with, I would say, more human sense, or more citoyen, citizenship. I don't know the word in English, but I hope you understand what I mean. And maybe just Clemence could also explain you what we are working on all together, all the services of the opera together to create a new strategy.
Yes, to reseduce the audience, we are surfing on the crisis period. For me, I can feel more solidarity between artistic and sales. And we can see that the artistic departments are very happy to make some small formats for the autumn. So and for us, it's a good way to offer priorities for subscribers to reseduce our audience. So we are planning to make sorry for my English. We're planning to make a transversal plan of reseducing our audience with the artistic departments, with all the departments of the opera, having one or two representative of each department. And like this, it's going to be a global opera strategy for audience, not just the marketing and sales department. And we need that because it's the goal of the opera. It has always been the goal of the opera, but since the crisis, I think for the artists they are more conscious of okay, we need to play, we need to sing, and we need the audience. So that's the way we are working with Myriam for the next seasons and for the seasons of our new director coming in March.
So we have the opportunity to coordinate and to discuss more with our colleagues of other departments, artistic departments, financial departments, school departments, and that's new because normally everybody works in his specific area, and now everybody could find out that it's important to be together and to rebuild together, and that's also a chance because during emergency and crisis and lockdown, we could find out that we need each other. That's a first success.
I think it's a great chance and a great success.
Yeah.
And before we open the discussion with the students and the other guests, I would like to give the word to Sebastian Schwarz, who is joining us now. Good afternoon, Sebastian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I just changed the device and now I have a microphone.
Thank you so much.
What an interesting time we live in, though. I mean, yes, it's been horrific in terms of economics. It's been horrific in terms of our fears, of artistic fears, our employees having to be put on furlough or put on hold or losing a lot of income, artists losing income. Yes, in many ways it's been horrific, but it's also an amazing opportunity to reflect and to really question the ways that opera has worked in the past and whether that's still the way. I mean, our colleague from the Vienna State Opera has contributed. I mean, a company that has been one of the front runners of streaming streaming opera and actually making it work economically, making it worth financially. Is that really something that, for example, something that can work in a time when we've been really spoiling our audiences over the last 3 months and giving them everything for free? Is there a way back to making people pay for streaming content? I'm not so sure, but I mean, I'm happy to find out ways how colleagues all over there, thank you for your contributions, maybe can make it work. Let's find out. Let's try them. What are the ways of finding audiences? I've found here in Torino a company that has lived, we're in the 280th season of Teatro Regio, year of its existence, has never had a proper marketing department. People doing little bits of marketing, but never really building a big overall strategy. That's what we're working on right now. We were in the process of a proper audience survey to really understand our audiences, something that in my former position in Glyndebourne, of course, that was a science that had been studied in very, very close detail, something that we all really, really need to apply. We need to know our audiences, not only in numbers, but also in quality. Who are they? What do they like? What do they do? And profiling, right? So unfortunately, then the emergency stopped us midway through the survey, but we are committed to seeing that through and really understanding who the people are that come to the Regio, and especially who are those who do not come, so that we can build a strategy to approach them and build programs and content in the big house, in the small house, but also outside the theater that can lure them in, or at least show them what they're missing out on. So to create something that is actually that you want to be a part of, maybe around the actual opera content. Of course, our end goal is to bring people into the auditorium. That's where opera needs to be live consumed and experienced. But maybe create the content first. Really make sure that our theaters are points of encounter where people come together. Normally, our venues are situated in the center of the cities we're in. Do we open ourselves up to become points of encounter for people of all spheres of life to come and simply meet in our rooms? And then maybe the next step becomes less difficult for them to actually make the step from our, let's say, foyer areas where they meet on a regular basis for, I don't know, aperitivo or something, and discussions and programs, and then the next step into the auditorium for some content. So I think there's a lot of things that we here need to do in Torino. That I have a great team here that's willing to go that way with me and find out. But it's also important, I think we've learned over this time, to use these means of technology where we can all be combined. And I can speak with our colleagues from Paris. I can see them here right now and everywhere. And we can be in touch and we can exchange ideas and learn from each other's successes, but also from each other's mistakes. It's so easy. We don't have to spend a lot of time and money and effort to meet. We can now use these means of technology. So let's meet and discuss in forums like this and others. Thank you very much and good luck for everyone.
Thank you so much, Sebastian Schwarz. I know there are some of my ex-students working with you at the moment, and I'm very happy for this. And yes, so before we go into we open the discussion also with the students and the other guests, I just want to I just noted some keyword coming out from this discussion. So the first of all being inclusion as main priority, which I really like. The other one, it's about the methodologies, working with new strategies step by step. And again, prioritizing the use of resources, listen to the audience and mostly understand the audience and their quality, as Sebastian was saying, engaging with international audience. And this is important for all of you. But at the same time, and I really like what Clemence was saying, reseduce the audience, working all together, different departments working on the same goals, which is the biggest occasion, I think, at the end of these terrible times and emergency. And also would like also to say that what I really liked what Sebastian just told us, could be also an occasion for big opera theater or even for mid-size or small opera theater to work a little bit more together, confronting ourselves about what are the next goals, what are the biggest challenges about the audience. Okay, so Valeria or Deborah, do you have questions from the guests and the students?
Yes, here I am. So I've just collected the questions by our students in the master. So I don't know whether maybe Ruben, who I think is connected, if Ruben wants to make directly the question, switching on your camera and microphone, because I've seen you have prepared several questions. So if Ruben would like to appear. Otherwise, I will do the question for you. No, okay. Go.
Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have several questions. So I think now, with the information that you gave us, I would like to know, if it's possible, which brands have been interested in supporting performing arts during this period, and how we can expand the digital experience and mix it within the live performances. Exists some interest on new technologies such as virtual reality, maybe? Thank you.
Well, maybe I can answer first from the Vienna State Opera. We have really made a big push towards offering free content of the repertoire of the Wiener Staatsoper. That has been received very well. We have had over 220,000 registrations worldwide of people joining our platform and being able to watch operas for free along the schedule that was originally planned. So this is one of the advantages of a repertoire house, that we can rely on this archive. Our main sponsors, which is the Austrian petrol gas company, and Toyota, which is our other general sponsors, they joined very happily. And so we had some trailers from those companies, as a pre-roll trailer, so to speak. So they have seen the power of digital distribution of opera content. But as Mr. Schwarz said earlier, the challenge will be to return to some kind of maybe freemium model to keep the engagement open. And not to lose the audiences, but to engage them, but also to make sure that this content cannot be free for everybody forever.
Maybe I can talk also. In Paris, we did the same. We offer a lot of streamings. We never, before this emergency or situation, we never gave a lot of free streaming, and we never sold streaming because it was not in our policy. So now we are thinking about it. But of course, I heard the questions before. Will it be possible now to let pay what we offer during 3 months? That's a challenge also. But we can use streaming as an advantage for donators, for sponsors, for subscribers. So that's very important. You talked, Francisco, about virtual reality. And it's not nowadays really what we want to do, because I mean the opera and then the ballet is something real, with real persons, with artists, and of course life is going on and everything is going more and more modern with highest quality, but technology. But we still want to have this human context, and we could feel that our audience want to come back to our houses. They prefer seeing us. It's as if you like when you like sports, maybe you prefer staying in the stadium and seeing really the sport, or the football or tennis or everything, and not only watch on the TV. So maybe we need both modern technology and also still the physical and real contact. We are in the real life, what we do in theaters for the moment.
Thank you so much, Myriam. Deborah, are there any other questions from the students? I believe so.
Yes, there were other questions, one by Lucia and the other one by Letizia. So maybe, I know that you prepare several questions, but just to try to keep the time, maybe I will ask Letizia to make one question and then Lucia to make the other one, so that also the other speakers can address those questions. So Lucia, would you like to start, or Letizia? Okay, it's up to you.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you for this meeting. My question is related to new audiences. So I think the pandemic has pushed the institutions to share contents So you find different ways to make your material available for all the community. So I was thinking, if you had the opportunity to measure the new audiences that you have reached, and if you have identified them, how would you retain them, if it's worth to retain them, and how eventually? Thank you.
I can, at the opera for the moment, we still have not measured all the new audience we got with the broadcast, but well, we have measured it, but it's quite global. It's not specifically thanks to the broadcast. So we are working on it. But what we did is thanks to Google to make an audience tag audience on the page of the broadcast, to keep all the audience that that went to this page, and like this from September we can contact them saying, okay, you were interested by the broadcast, so now we can offer you that or that, or welcome to the show with maybe this offer. Or so we are planning to do something, but it's voilà, we did it voilà, thanks to tag Google audience, but we didn't have time to develop specifically something to make a marketing segment. But so more or less we tried to identify them.
The challenge is that for us in Vienna, if we retarget these audience groups or these groups of interested people who have watched our broadcast, what is the conversion strategy in a situation where we only have 1,000 seats available? So we have to think before we contact them again to which conversion we want to lead them. Do we want them to participate in a guided tour or to subscribe to the newsletter, to engage in some kind of community activities, etc.? So that's the challenge for us, at least.
Thank you. Deborah?
Yes, I think there was another question by Lucia.
Lucia, yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. You answered already to many of the questions that I have, so I will be super quick. I was wondering, after this crisis, there are some tools, management tools that are linked to marketing or to communication or to finance sustainability that you are now aware that are super urgent and necessary to be implemented. I'm thinking about maybe dynamic pricing, another techniques in the segmentation of market, data analysis, as Letizia was suggesting before. That was my main question. Thank you.
I would try to answer from Teatro alla Scala. I think that this is a moment where, as also the colleague from Turin, Schwartz, said, we have a great opportunity, because even if we are facing to a very complex period, also this is an opportunity to stop a moment and to look behind us to our previous strategies, but also we have the opportunity to look forward to the new one. And I think that the answer to your question could be the mixture of all the previous answer of my other theater colleague, opera house colleagues. That in general, I think that we have to try to understand how to engage a huge number of fan and follower, how to transform these fan and following into potential member of audiences, and how especially to maintain the relationship with our loyal audiences. Anyway, I want to say that this is a great opportunity, but also it's important what also Stefan said. We have also to look to the strategies, also considering the number of the effective seats that we have. First of all, we have to preserve the seats for our for our subscribers, and then to our sponsors, and then to understand how to anyway maintain a relationship with our local audiences. So specifically speaking about the city of Milan, the region of Milan, Italy, and then to look forward when we will be able to welcome back again our foreign international member of audiences. So I think that in this moment, what is, thinking through our strategies is fundamental to, as I was telling you before, to listen to our audiences. So this is the reason why we are making several surveys. It's important to share ideas. So this, I think that also this webinar is fundamental. And this webinar, I want also to take the opportunity to thank Politecnico di Milan, because I am proud to be one of the person that with the colleagues from especially to Myriam and to Stefan and Silvia, the colleagues of the other theater, we have tried to push to stay together. In fact, we every maximum 2 months we arrange specifically we can say talks where we discuss about all different strategies and topics. So you were speaking about dynamic pricing, but also we have shared experience about non-official reseller. So I think that is fundamental to share ideas, to look what we have done, and to look forward together to the future, but also considering this moment like an opportunity, not only like a difficult moment.
Thank you.
Yes.
Maybe I can answer the questions about the tools. Just to explain you that what we need for tools, just very urgently, first, a ticketing system that allows us to reimburse very quickly, or to transform reimbursement in donation that we tried to do during the lockdown. This was the first urgency, because when people are waiting for their money, afterward they get unconfident and they will won't come back if we don't give them back their money first. This was the first challenge. The second challenge is, and I think Stefan talked about it, how can we sell automatically on online what we do now for years, when the system is not able to see if you're 2 persons, you're same couple, then I have to have a 1 seat free between you and the next customers. Nowadays it's not in our system, which is not bad. We don't have this capacity today, so we don't know how to sell quickly online with respecting the new sanitary constraints. And that's a very handicapping. And we're talking also about dynamic pricing. I don't think it's a good time to do dynamic pricing, because we have less capacity. So we have to find out the good price that people will accept to pay for come back. But we know we will also to say no to a lot of audience, because we cannot welcome them and they want to come back. And I think the main subject we just discussed about it is the data. How can we measure the data? How can we measure the digital behavior of our audience? That will be the most important. Then we can be able to reuse this data and this knowledge in the future, also when everything is okay again, maybe in 6 months or 1 year. That's it for us.
Thank you so much.
Similarly here, oh, sorry, just if you don't mind, very quickly, here at the Royal Opera House is very similar to other opera houses in Europe. Dynamic pricing is something that we haven't offered, and it's certainly not now the best time to offer it. The way the Royal Opera House has worked so far is that there's different ticket prices depending on production. So opera is usually more expensive than ballet, and there's certain names of productions that are more expensive than others, as One Leg may be more expensive than modern ballet productions, for example. So what is important at the moment is understanding to what capacity we can reopen and what is the pricing that will be okay for us, so as to be able to reopen and knowing that we may make a loss, but we're not going to make a huge loss, for example. So it's trying to find the right balance between the amount of audience that we can get in and financially how much we can make. And before the way our theater has worked so far is that depending where you're sitting as well within the theater, of course, the price will change. But even within the orchestra stalls, for example, there's different ticket prices. So is that a model that we can continue using after the crisis? These are all questions that we're asking ourselves. And until we know more about even what Myriam was saying about the ticketing system, we have no capacity at the moment online to being able to sell socially distant tickets, like if we know we have a family of 4 or one person on its own. So that's a big challenge, I suppose, every theater is having at the moment. And bearing in mind that for the Royal Opera House, the only way to buy tickets is either online or in person in the building. We have no other way. We don't use any reselling system either. So it's a tricky situation, but we will race stronger, I believe.
Grazie Silvia. Thank you.
No problem.
Deborah?
Yes, here I am.
Last questions from the audience?
Yes, I think I'm keeping the last question because we don't have time to go through all of them. There's someone that writes down, how can theaters balance between the high artistic offer and then at the same time the fact that you have less performances? So starting from this, which is a great challenge, maybe the key question could be, what is the key parameter that you think is important to monitor in this moment? You are mentioning about the centrality of data. So given the fact that you have this problem of keeping in balance the money, people that are coming, which is, let's say, the key data that you think need to be taken under control in this situation? This is, I would say, could be kind of summarizing question.
Well, if I may answer, the key data is, of course, the sales figures. We want to know how the performances are filling up and by whom. Who are the visitor groups that are most confident about being able and feeling secure enough to start visiting the Vienna State Opera again? Are these the loyal subscribers who say we don't fear any corona related risk? We want to come and visit the opera, or are these occasional visitors who kind of like the Louvre? Now, for once in a lifetime, you can see the Louvre without having so many people in front of you. We will be most happy to finally be able to visit the Vienna State Opera ourselves. So this is very important to be able to distinguish between the motivations to come back to the opera. It will be a mix at the end of the day. It will be a mix of both, but we will have to address those groups of people with different messages in order to make them feel at home and give them the feeling that it's their house and it's open for them, and we will do everything to give them a good experience.
Thank you, Stefan.
Yeah, I would say that I completely agree with Stefan. I think in this moment the fundamental things is to reestablish a strong relation with our audiences with different targets, and also we can use different tools in this moment. For example, we are working deeply with our also farthest member of audiences, so with our farthest sponsors through, for example, virtual tour to Teatro alla Scala, virtual but also in interactive. So where our host, our guest can visit the theater but can interact with us, something similar to this webinar, asking us information about the theater. So this is just an example of different experience that we have to arrange. So obviously live experience in this moment is just reserved for a smaller number of partners, also for a member of audiences. But we have to find also new tools to engage with them in order to maintain, as I was telling you before, in this step-by-step strategy, this strong relationship, and then to be able, when we will be able again to reopen the theater to the full capacity, to rehost all our partners and stakeholders.
Thank you, Lanfranco. So I think we ran a little bit out of time, but I think we can, say, close our discussion here. I would like really to thank a lot Myriam, Clemence, that already left the conversation, Stefan, Silvia, and then Lanfranco. I think I mentioned all of you. And of course, particularly, I'm thanking Monica for the moderation of the webinar, and of course, also our... Thank you, Monica. Our students that are, let's say, here. So thank you, Stefan, Myriam, and then Lanfranco.
It was nice to see you.
Thank you.
Good luck to everybody. Yeah? Good luck to all of us.
Good luck to all of us. Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Salut Myriam.
Bye.
Nice summer.
Grazie Myriam.
Grazie
Ciao Silvia, ciao Stefan, Monica, Deborah, grazie a tutti.
Ciao Lanfranco.
Ciao.
Ciao. A presto.
Grazie a tutti.
Ciao.